Have you ever sat there staring at your phone, wondering why the person who claimed to care so much about you has gone completely quiet? And what makes it even more painful is that you haven't reached out either. You're both just silent. Both of you waiting, both of you hoping, but neither of you making a move. And you keep asking yourself, what does this silence mean? Here's what nobody has the courage to tell you. That silence you're drowning in right now, it's not the end of your story. It's the beginning. But only if you understand what's really happening inside your head and inside theirs. So stay with me until the very end, because what I'm about to share with you will change the way you see this entire situation. It will rewire the way you think about them, about yourself, and about what happens next. Let's paint the picture together. You just came out of something that felt real, something that had potential. But then something shifted. The communication started to thin out. The replies came slower. The warmth started to fade, and instead of addressing it, instead of having that difficult conversation, both of you just stopped. You told yourself it was mutual. You told yourself they probably needed space. You told yourself that if they really wanted to talk, they would, and they told themselves the exact same thing. You are both playing the same game without even realizing it, and this is where most people get completely trapped. The human mind is a powerful thing when it comes to protecting itself from pain. When someone pulls away, your brain immediately starts looking for reasons why it might not hurt so much. You tell yourself, maybe they're just busy. Maybe they're going through something. Maybe they're just not the reaching out type. And all of those things might be true. But here is what your brain is really doing. It's trying to preserve your sense of worth. It's trying to convince you that if you don't reach out first, you can't be rejected. Because rejection from someone who matters feels unbearable. So instead of reaching out and risking silence, you stay silent and protect yourself from that specific pain. But what you don't realize is that you're both doing this exact same thing. You are both sitting on the same side of the fence, paralyzed by the same fear, waiting for the other person to make the first move while simultaneously refusing to make it yourself. This is the invisible trap of mutual no contact. It's not about who cares more. It's not about who moved on faster. It's about two people who are emotionally terrified of being the one who looks desperate, who looks weak, who looks like they care too much. But here is the truth that nobody wants to accept. The person who cares enough to reach out is not weak, they are brave. And the person who stays silent thinking they're protecting their dignity is actually prolonging their own pain. Right now, you might be feeling a strange combination of sadness, anger, confusion, and maybe even relief. All of those emotions are valid. The silence after something meaningful doesn't just feel like an ending. It feels like a wound that keeps reopening every time you check your phone, every time you see their name pop up somewhere, every time you almost text them and then stop yourself. Your brain is trying to solve a puzzle that has no clear answer. Why did they stop? Did I do something wrong? Did they ever really care? These questions are eating you alive, and you don't have the answers. But here's what I need you to understand. That silence is not a mystery you need to solve. It's a mirror. It's showing you something about yourself, about your patterns, about the way you handle emotional distance. And the sooner you stop looking at their silence as something they did to you and start seeing it as information about both of you, the sooner you can start healing. So if you're still with me, I need you to understand something. You are not stuck in this silence because the connection was never real. You're stuck in it because both of you are afraid of the same thing. And that fear is costing you peace. It's costing you closure. It's costing you the ability to move forward with your life. Here's what happens next. I'm going to show you exactly why this pattern exists, what it means about the relationship, what it means about you, and most importantly, what you can do right now to stop being a prisoner of your own silence. This isn't just information. This is transformation. So keep watching because what comes next will set you free. Why do two people who clearly care about each other sit in complete silence, both wanting to reach out, but neither one willing to do it? What is actually happening inside the mind of someone who pulls away just when things start to feel real? And more importantly, what is happening inside your own mind right now that keeps you frozen in this same place? Let me take you deeper, because what you're about to understand will shock you. There is a specific personality type in psychology called the dismissive avoidant. This is someone who, on the surface, seems completely fine being alone. They don't seem to need people the way others do. They handle breakups with an unsettling calm. They move on quickly, stay busy, keep their emotions neatly packed away where nobody can reach them. But here is what the surface never shows you. Underneath that composed exterior is a person who is absolutely terrified of emotional intimacy, not because they don't want love, but because love to them feels dangerous. When a dismissive avoidant person starts to feel connected to someone, something inside them hits the brakes. The closer you get, the more they feel themselves pulling away. It's not about you. It's never really been about you. They have learned, usually from early childhood, that depending on people leads to disappointment, that showing vulnerability gets you hurt, that the safest way to exist is to need no one and let no one get too close. So when they meet someone who makes them feel something real, their entire system goes into self-protection mode. They start creating distance before things get too deep. They pull away before they get abandoned. They leave before they can be left. Now, here's the part nobody talks about. You are not innocent in this pattern either. You might be what's called anxious attached. This means your nervous system responds to distance with urgency. When someone pulls away, your instinct is to chase, to seek reassurance, to do whatever it takes to restore the connection. But when you chase someone who is avoidant, it pushes them further away. And when they pull away from your chase, you feel abandoned. So you pull back too, pretending you don't care, pretending you're fine, trying to protect yourself from the pain of rejection. And that's when the silence begins. You both retreat into your own protective shells at the exact same time, thinking you're protecting yourselves, but actually keeping each other trapped in a cycle neither of you can escape. Let me tell you what is really going on in the mind of that person right now. They are not happily moving on. They are not relieved you stopped contacting them. They are sitting exactly where you are, experiencing the exact same pain. Dismissive avoidants don't stop feeling just because they stop showing it. They bury their emotions so deep that even they sometimes believe they're fine. But they are not fine. Every time their phone stays silent, every time they want to reach out but stop themselves, every time they replay conversations in their head, they feel it. They feel the same ache you're feeling. They just don't know how to reach out without feeling like they're losing themselves entirely. This is the invisible game you are both playing. You are both waiting for the other person to prove they care enough to reach out first. Because in both of your minds, the person who reaches out first is the one who cares more. The one who reaches out first is the one who loses their power. But this game has no winners. It only has two people sitting in silence, convinced the other person doesn't care, both suffering in their own separate prisons of pride and fear. Think about that for a moment. While you're sitting there feeling like they moved on, while you're telling yourself they probably never cared, while you're slowly accepting that silence means indifference, they are doing the exact same thing. They are sitting there thinking you stopped caring. They are telling themselves that if you really wanted them, you would have reached out by now. They are convincing themselves that your silence means you're fine without them. You are both believing the exact same lie about each other, and that lie is keeping you both stuck. This is the trap that destroys more connections than almost anything else. Not betrayal, not abuse, not even fundamental incompatibility. Just two people too afraid to be the one who cares out loud. Two people letting their ego decide the outcome of something that could have been beautiful. But here's what you need to understand about this game. There is no prize for staying silent. There is no reward for pretending you don't care. The only thing you gain from playing this game is more pain, more regret, and more time spent in a prison of your own making. And the person who finally decides to stop playing, the person who finds the courage to break the silence, they don't lose. They win. Because they prove to themselves that their feelings are worth protecting, that their peace matters more than their pride. And that is the beginning of real emotional freedom. Now I want you to look in the mirror, not at them, not at the situation, at yourself. Because that silence you're drowning in, that mutual withdrawal you keep replaying in your mind, it is not random. It is not bad luck. And it is definitely not just about them pulling away. It is trying to show you something you have been avoiding for a very long time. And until you see it, this pattern will keep showing up in different faces, different names, different conversations that all end the exact same way. Here is the truth that nobody wants to hear. Every person who walks away, every connection that fades into silence, every relationship that dies before it truly lived, it is a mirror. And mirrors don't lie. They show you exactly what you need to see about yourself, not to punish you, but to free you. But most people cannot handle what the mirror shows them because it requires taking full responsibility. And responsibility feels heavy when all you want to do is blame someone else for your pain. Think about the last few relationships in your life, not just this one. Think about all of them. Did they follow a similar pattern? Did you find yourself drawn to people who seemed unavailable at first? People who gave you just enough to keep you hoping but not enough to make you feel secure? People who pulled away right when you started to feel close? If the answer is yes, then you need to ask yourself a very uncomfortable question. Why do I keep choosing people who cannot stay? Why do I keep ending up in connections that leave me feeling alone? The answer is not that you attract bad people. The answer is deeper than that. You attract people who match your internal level of emotional safety. And if you keep choosing people who run, it is because somewhere inside yourself, you are also running. You just do it more quietly. This is the part that hurts the most to accept. You are not a victim of your past, you are a product of it. The way you attach to people, the way you respond to distance, the way you handle intimacy and vulnerability, it was all shaped very early in your life. If you grew up with caregivers who were inconsistent, who were there and then suddenly gone, who gave you love but also unpredictability, your nervous system learned to expect that real connection comes and goes, that people you love will eventually leave. So without even realizing it, you are drawn to people who recreate that familiar feeling of almost but not quite secure love. Not because you want to suffer, but because the familiar pain feels safer than the unknown peace. Let me say that again. You are not broken. You are not unlovable. You are not destined to repeat this pain forever. But you are stuck in a pattern that was set long before you knew what love was supposed to feel like. And the silence between you and that dismissive, avoidant person right now, it is not a punishment from the universe. It is a wake-up call. It is the universe saying, look at yourself. Look at what you keep doing. Look at what you keep accepting. Look at what you keep running from. And the people who are brave enough to actually look, they are the ones who break free. So what does this silence actually teach you? It teaches you that you have been looking for safety in someone else when you have never built it inside yourself. It teaches you that you have been asking people to give you a sense of worth that only you can provide. It teaches you that you have been so afraid of being abandoned that you have been abandoning yourself first by staying in connections that drain you instead of energize you. And most importantly, it teaches you that the only person who can break this cycle is you. You cannot change them. You cannot make a dismissive, avoidant person suddenly become available. You cannot argue someone into loving you more deeply. You cannot earn security from someone who does not know how to give it, but you can do something far more powerful. You can stop accepting the crumbs you have been settling for. You can stop pretending that almost love is enough. You can stop running from the part of yourself that believes you don't deserve someone who actually stays. The silence is your teacher, the pain is your curriculum, and the lesson is this: until you learn to give yourself the emotional safety you have been seeking from other people, you will keep attracting people who reflect your own deepest fear of never being truly chosen. This is not the end of your story. This is where the real transformation begins. What if I told you that everything you have been waiting for was never on the other side of that silence? What if the answer to your pain was never hidden in their next text message, their next call, their eventual return? What if the door to your freedom has been inside you this entire time and you just keep walking past it because you are too focused on the silence behind you? I need you to hear this with your whole chest. You do not need their reply to heal. You do not need their explanation to move forward. You do not need them to come back to prove that you were worth it all along. The moment you truly understand this is the moment your life begins to change. Right now, you are sitting in a waiting room of your own creation. You are waiting for them to text, waiting for them to reach out, waiting for some sign that proves you mattered to them. And every single day you spend waiting is a day you hand over your power to someone who is just as lost as you are. They are not coming to save you. They do not have the answer you need. They are just another human being who is equally afraid, equally wounded, equally unsure of how to love without running. So why are you giving them the key to your happiness? Why are you letting their silence define your self-worth? Let me tell you something about human psychology that will rewire the way you think about this entire situation. Your brain is not designed to find peace in someone else's hands. It is designed to find peace when you take radical responsibility for your own emotional state. Right now, your nervous system is linked to their next move. Every time your phone lights up, your heart spikes with hope. Every time it is not them, the hope dies and the pain returns. This is not a way to live. This is a slow erosion of your sanity, and the only way out is to make a decision. A real decision, not a half decision where you say you are moving on, but secretly still check their profile every day. A full commitment to yourself and your own healing. Here is what that commitment looks like. It looks like closing the door, not because you hate them, but because you love yourself enough to stop feeding your pain. It looks like accepting that the relationship you hope for is not going to happen in the way you imagined. It looks like grieving the future you planned while refusing to stay stuck in it. It looks like turning your attention away from their silence and pointing it directly at yourself, at the wounds you have been carrying, at the patterns you keep repeating, at the version of yourself you have been avoiding because healing requires you to look at things you would rather not see. This is where real transformation happens, not in waiting for someone else to change, not in hoping the silence will eventually break, but in the quiet, brave decision to meet yourself where you are and start doing the inner work that nobody else can do for you. Your attachment style, your fear of abandonment, your tendency to choose people who cannot stay, these are not fixed traits that will follow you forever. They are patterns, and patterns can be changed, but only if you decide to change them. 2. Only if you stop blaming your past and start rebuilding your present. Only if you stop waiting for someone to come back and start building a life where you do not need anyone to complete you. Let me give you the most powerful truth I can offer in this entire video. The person who breaks the silence first does not lose. They do not look desperate. They do not destroy their dignity. They prove something extraordinary. They prove that they are someone who values their own peace over their ego. They prove that they have the courage to feel the pain of reaching out instead of hiding from it. They prove that their heart is worth more than their fear. And that is not weakness. That is the highest form of emotional strength. So here is what happens next. Not to them, to you. You either stay frozen in that waiting room forever, letting your life pass you by while you stare at a phone screen, or you stand up, walk out, and start building the life you actually deserve. A life where you are not defined by someone's silence, where your worth is not tied to someone's response, where you are whole, complete, and emotionally free whether they come back or not. The silence taught you everything you needed to know. Now it is time to use that knowledge, not to get them back, not to prove anything to them, but to set yourself free. That is the transformation. That is the beginning. And that is what happens next when you stop waiting and start living.